You're now watching This AFC South Show, brought to you by Curtis Podcast Network, hosted by Curtis Brown, Blake Bellamy, Isaiah Michelle, and Jeff Steckel.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to This AFC South Show. I'm your host, Curtis Brown, on Curtis Podcast Network. With me, as always, Jeff Steckel, our Colts fan, Isaiah Michelle, our Jags fan. I obviously am a Texans fan. Our Titans guy, Blake, is not here. He uses this night to help study for his ongoing education. So, you know, it is what it is. So we had a pretty interesting week. Half the teams won, half the teams didn't. Everybody was in at least a competitive game, and I don't think that's always been the case this season. So, without any further ado, hit the like and subscribe button. Still in the hunt for 1,000. We're 881 away still. So if you guys just want to hit the thing and then hit the bell. Okay. All right. Let's lead off with Jacksonville. Isaiah, this was from like the scoreboard watching that I was doing. I didn't actually like watch in a whole lot of the game, but the scoreboard watching was it was a 2-score game for most of the game, and it never got any larger than that. And it looks like the Jags were trying to threaten to kind of, you know, close that gap pretty much the entire game, but just couldn't really ever keep a lid on it. So give us your perspective.
I mean, Riley Patterson, just get out of town. Hate that guy. I mean, you know, even if we still lose, if Riley Patterson doesn't miss those 2 field goals, it's 23-27, which is a lot more respectable against the KC team that really dominated us all day. Juju was tearing us up pretty early, and Andre Cisco took care of that. Shout out Andre Cisco. Great hit. Clean. Totally clean. Christian Kirk had a big day. 2 touchdowns. One of them was basically diving catch. That was pretty nice. Marvin Jones had a really big field flipper, 33-yard diving catch on the sideline that couldn't have been placed more perfectly and couldn't have been caught more perfectly. It was just, I don't think we had any sacks in this game. 0 sacks. A lot of pressure, like we always do. Josh Allen probably had 17 pressures, just like they always like to boast, but no sacks. He had one that would have been a sack, but Patrick Mahomes fell forward for a yard, so that was great. Another week of, Trayvon Walker can be and will potentially be an elite pass rusher one day. He'll probably be a good pass rusher top out one day, personally speaking. But he's just a number week of going straight into the numbers. Every play he's just straight up in the chest of the offensive guy, and he gets good extension, but he's trying to bull rush too much. He's too used to playing on the end of the line / interior of the line. And he's big and strong, and he's pushing these guys, but then he's losing contain. Patrick Mahomes on a couple plays basically walked for the first down because our entire right side of the D line just like collapsed in, and then he just had wide open field, which is exactly something I said we couldn't do in the preview. But that's why I'm not the coach, and that's why I'm sitting here. And it's just. It was a winnable game, in my opinion. Our defense was just asleep. There was one of those touchdowns, Andre Cisco, freaking Jenkins was just standing there, and the receiver was five yards in front of him when he caught the ball, and he just looked at him. He's like, "Hey," Tyson Campbell had a bad play. It was cover 3. He freaking went straight to Kelsey, and they doubled Kelsey, which I don't even know if it was blown coverage by Campbell. They probably told him to stay on Kelsey. But one of their wide receivers just slipped out the back end right behind him and was in the corner of the end zone just waiting for the football. They talked about how Kadarius Toney, he uses his legs to get open and blah blah blah. He didn't use shit to get open. He was walking over there. He was jumping up and down, waving at fucking Patrick Mahomes because he was standing over there for 5 seconds before anybody even saw him, and he did a freaking hop into the end zone on 1 foot down the sideline. It was just a bad defensive game. Our offense played relatively well. We had a couple of bad drives early, kind of like the Raiders game, and they jumped up on us, but we started coming back and moving the ball, drove down in the halftime and then got that fumble recovery. And just, couldn't do anything with it. We wasted that onside kick that happened to open up the game. Riley Patterson got it himself. Pat McAfee was going crazy about it. Shout out Pat McAfee, Colts player, but he was like, "Oh, that's exactly how you do it to open up the game." And then 4 plays later, we're punting the ball. It's just on their side of the 50. It just bad execution. I mean, realistically though, offense had a pretty solid game. Etienne really couldn't get it going on the ground. Trevor Lawrence had a couple good scrambles. Christian Kirk had a great game. It was just one of those days we just couldn't get it going. Trevor Lawrence still was 29 for 40, 259 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. He was sacked 5 times. They were boasting how great our O-line is. It's just more of Trevor being able to make room and make stuff happen. But we just got to clean up on defense. We can't allow quarterbacks to do that to us, especially when we play Lamar Jackson next week. So we just gotta clean up some stuff, gotta get some pressure, and our D linemen just need to start making pass rusher moves and not trying to just push the O line back on top of the quarterback. And I feel like there were some calls that went one way, maybe not the other, but I'm not going to blame this game on officiating. It was definitely just Jacksonville did not put together a good enough game on defense. That's about all I got, really.
Yeah, I mean that's I feel like it's just kind of sums up the AFC South as a whole for the most part. Well, I guess the bottom half so far. So you think is Trevor actually like proving his worth at any point?
100%. If you look at his numbers this year compared to last year, he's leaps and bounds better. He already has more touchdowns. He has half the interceptions, less than half. I mean, he's leaps and bounds better than last year. He's using his feet. I think anybody who says that Trevor Lawrence is not better than last year has not proven that he can improve and be a quarterback for us. I mean, they don't know what they're talking about. I mean, even the announcers today were saying that they see greatness in him, and like they said, it's probably not going to be this year, just because again, this is another building year. But next year when we bring in Calvin Ridley, of course, he still has to get cleared, but he's going to get cleared. Having Calvin Ridley, another draft, we can add a couple more weapons and everything in there, get another solid tight end. Please, Brock Bowers. Please, Brock Bowers. Yeah, I mean, it's just Trevor's improved a lot. If you look at the stats, there's nobody that can tell you he hasn't. His everything is better than last year. It's just he's making a lot of throws that even in the beginning of the year he either wasn't making or he was making, and he's doing the right thing now and he's improving. So, I mean, it's just going to continue to happen, and we'll see.
Jeff, you got anything?
Yeah, I mean, Trevor Lawrence played well enough to win this game. With the 40 attempts and, he almost completed 75% of his passes. So I think he did well enough. It was just, the run game. 75 yards on the ground for a running team isn't going to cut it. And I understand why. I mean, by the third quarter, I think it was 27-10. So it's hard to run the ball when you're down, 2-3 possessions. So I get it. And like you said, they kind of had Etienne bottled up. So the Chiefs just played, they came to play on defense. And that's something they really hadn't done to this point. They've been horrible against the run, so they just kind of made a effort to stop it. So, and I felt this was going to end in 2 possessions when we did the last show. I felt that it was going to be too hard for the Chiefs for the Jaguars to keep up with the Chiefs. So it kind of went the way that I thought it would.
Yeah, they only covered by 0.5. That actually surprised me. Like when I saw how the game was going, I expected them to score more than that on us, but they only beat us by 10, and the spread was 9.5. So that kind of surprised me, honestly.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's lean into the Texans now. Watched the whole game. First half, Davis Mills looks like a pedestrian again. It looks like he's never picked up a football. I'm pretty sure at halftime he had like 16 yards of passing offense. Meanwhile, Dameon Pierce is continuing his Offensive Rookie of the Year campaign, going over 100 scrimmage yards. He had a 44-yard rush in the first half that accounted for, I think, the majority of his first half rushing stats. I think it was like 7 or 8 carries for like 59 yards or something. So this game was closer than the score leads on, and it's only an 8-point game in the final score. Houston had the ball 3 separate occasions in the second half in scoring position, And there was actually a drive where on 1st down and 10, Davis Mills throws an incomplete pass, and they're at the Giant like 20. Davis Mills throws an incomplete pass. Next pass he throws is a touchdown strike to Brandon Cooks, called back for holding. Next pass he throws is a touchdown strike to, I think it was O.J. Howard, called back for illegal shift.
Yeah.
And then the next play is a pick. And he throws it, and it's actually a pretty decently thrown ball. There's just two guys over there, and one of them basically has to give an assist to the guy for the second guy to catch it and really lock it down. But Dameon Pierce had an opportunity on a separate drive where they're inside the 10-yard line. They hand it off to him, and he plunges forward for 3, loses the ball, and just kills a hell of a lot of momentum. I mean, we outgained the Giants today, which has not happened at all this season. We've not outgained anyone, and we did that today. They couldn't really do a whole lot through the air. I mean, Daniel Jones had the one touchdown pass to Slayton, or well, I guess he might have had 2 passes. But he had the long touchdown to Slayton was on a broken play where he's getting sacked in the process of throwing the thing, and Jalen Petrie is the only other person over there, and he whiffs the tackle, and Darius Slayton goes for 50. That was frustrating because I believe that was just how they started the second half, and I was just so salty about that. Because, God bless America, we had that game. I'm telling you, folks, that game was within our reach. A lot of people are going to blame Mills. The offensive line that dicked us pretty hard today in pass protection. Kenyon Green got flagged for holding 2 or 3 times, a couple that weren't even accepted. Laramie Tunsil had like 2 or 3 false starts, and you can't have that out of an all-pro caliber left tackle. And I just don't. It's just the little things that are holding us back at this moment, because Saquon Barkley had 144 yards rushing, if I'm not mistaken. 152 on 35.
Yep.
That is the lowest per carry average we've allowed to a running back all season. His longest run was 27 yards. Like, we actually, I feel like it wasn't that bad comparatively. I mean, you give anybody 35 carries in the NFL, they better be getting something like that. But, like, oh, man. I hope we draft, was that Jalen Carter out of Georgia? That's really going to help our defensive line. We need somebody huge, space-eating, and who's got so much strength, it's just inconvenient. Thoughts, fellas?
Yeah, I think when we did the lead into this week, I said that the Texans would have to keep it close, and they did. I mean, it was only a 4-point game going in at the half. They just kind of let the third quarter get away from them. But the Texans did just about everything they needed to. I think, has Mills gone over 300 at any point this year except today?
The Raiders game.
The Raiders game. Okay. So he did it. Touchdown. I mean, I feel like he, except for that intercept, I can't even really blame him for that, though, because, like you said, he threw, 2 other touchdowns?
Yeah.
They were called back on holding or whatever. Just frustration had to have settled in at that point.
Yeah.
Because that's, yeah. Now, I mean, Pierce did what he had to do. I mean, he almost hit 100 yards. He averaged, over 5 yards a carry. It's just, luckily I had Cooks on the bench, but I saw him get in the end zone. I was like, all right, finally. And then that one was called back. It's just frustrated, shooting yourself in the foot. It's crap that the Colts have been doing. And so I get the frustration there. It's, but Saquon Barkley, yeah, they just kept feeding him. I mean, Daniel Jones only passed 17 times. So
That's what I'm saying. I mean, like, it was the Saquon show. They had a couple other carries with Breida and whatnot, but
yeah.
I mean, there were a lot of drives where they couldn't do anything with the ball, running the ball, and they would just punt the ball back to us. But I would say outside of Stingley today, every single rookie kind of showed their weaknesses pretty visibly. There were a couple times where Christian Harris just continues to get just muscled down by a running back, happened it by Henry. Henry just made him look like a child. Jalen Petrie still can't do open field tackling, which is kind of a problem for a safety. Kenyon Green with the holding penalties. I mean, Dexter Lawrence or whatever that dude's name is, Dexter Lawrence Jr. That guy was every single play lining up on Kenyon Green, being like, all right, kid, welcome to the NFL. And was whooping him in a way that I don't think Kenyon Green thought was possible. Kenyon Green was just holding on for dear life most of the game. Just like the ball was snapped and then Kenyon Green was beaten. Those were the two things that were important. And beyond that, I don't know. I mean, like, Jordan Akins had a pretty solid day. He had a really, after a crazy almost interception or something right before the end of the third quarter, Akins has like a 44-yard reception that gets him down inside the one. And then 2 plays later, that's when Pierce fumbles in the first possession of the fourth quarter. And then we make him punt. We get back down there. That's when all the touchdowns got called back. And then we get the ball back, they get the ball again because of the interception, and then they punt the ball back. We kick a field goal. They kick a field goal. Get the ball back. Kick a field goal. 7 seconds. Hate. Isaiah.
I mean, the Giants have done this all year. Literally all year. Like they somehow keep it close enough. They have less yards. They're just slightly more efficient because of turnovers typically, and Saquon carrying the ball, and like other teams shooting themselves in the foot. And then Daniel Jones does just enough to not lose the game. And I mean, I don't know if he's had a game where he's thrown over 30 passes. I mean, if he has, it hasn't been many.
Yeah.
I mean, they've done this all year. They did against Jacksonville. They do it every year, or this year, like every game.
This was the only game all season that they had never trailed in.
Yeah, it's
It would happen against the Texans.
Yeah, it's just rough, dude. I mean, it's just one of those teams this year. There's a lot of teams this year that are kind of like that. Where like the Dolphins, like they're just one of those teams that they're not gonna just come out and blow you out. They're gonna wait. They're gonna sit and bide their time, at the last minute they're gonna jump ahead and take the win.
Yeah. It's kind of like the Lions today. The Lions.
It was a fun game, man.
I didn't see that happening. And Justin Fields, shout out Justin Fields, put up 40 points in fantasy in the non-PPR league that I'm in. And I was just like, all right, that's what's up, waiver wire pickup. With that, let's go to the Titans. Does anybody have the conversation with Blake readily available?
I can.
He has some of his Titans notes.
Downey has to go. Yeah, I got it.
So all right, just to keep this short, the same thing as last week, plus Tannehill's that guy. That's about it.
Well, I don't know that you can call him that guy. The man had like barely over 50% completions.
Oh no, I meant for the Titans, not for like any. I didn't mean like that guy's in the best. I just mean like for the Titans.
Oh yeah, because Malik Willis ain't it. No, I'm pretty sure he like showed up for a play and fumbled, and everybody was like, "Why are you here? What? Why are you still?"
That's the future.
Yeah, I mean the Titans did have a lot of drops. He says Burks accounted for 2 before they took his ass out. The defense is playing lights out, even though they've got plug-and-play players across the freaking board. Jeff Simmons didn't play today, but no Bud Dupree. And I'm pretty sure they had at least 5 or 6 sacks on that Broncos offensive line. The center Glasgow left early, did not come back, and they had a backup in, and they were just exploiting that man like there was no tomorrow. Oh, man. But they hung on for a, 17-10 win? over the struggling Denver Broncos. And, I mean, that's par for the course for the Titans, honestly. Like, I don't even know if Derrick Henry ever really got going. I'm pretty sure he only had like 10 carries, right?
No, he had 19.
Yeah,
Oh,
19.
Average less than 3 yards a carry.
Yeah, 2.8 yards per carry.
Yeah. So just a
But
rough
even
one.
like he said that Tannehill was lighting it up, and I'm like, I mean, he has some good passes, and there were drops, but he was a little over 50% completion still.
Yeah. A lot of drops. He got sacked a lot.
He got sacked once.
He got hit a lot.
It's
He didn't get
very much
sacked a
a
lot. He got
defensive
hit a
game.
lot. I remember seeing him get hit like every other play. I guess,
Freaking Westbrook had a good game. He had a good game.
yeah. Nick NWI is actually probably my MVP pick for the Titans this week. Weird. Oh, and Dameon Pierce would be my MVP pick for the Texans. So,
The Titans. I mean, they defensively they held the Broncos to under, what is it, like 70 yards rushing,
yeah.
and they were all after Russell Wilson, but he still put up almost 300 yards. So I think they very much bend but didn't break defense. I mean, I have Russell Wilson in fantasy. He did pretty good for me.
Yeah.
The only reason he started was because I didn't have Lamar Jackson this week. But I mean, I felt it would be a defensive game. But
Oh yeah, that almost screwed me. I hadn't set my lineup, and I had a couple Ravens players in there, like a couple players that were on a bye week, and I looked like last minute I picked up Foster Moreau, like I was saying earlier. Dude dropped me 13.5 points. Alec Pierce, I picked him up too, or I already had him in one league, 0 points. I was not too happy about that.
Yeah, I missed I missed that Mecole Hardman wasn't going to play. So
They announced him out pretty early this week, actually.
I did not hear that. So I left him in. And
It was like, I think they announced it Wednesday or Thursday that he wasn't going to play.
did not even pay attention.
It happens.
Yeah, I'm still going to win in that league, so it doesn't really even matter.
Yeah.
I was really close. If DeAndre Hopkins would have had a touchdown today, I'd be sitting on roughly $1,000. But anyway, can't have nice things, folks. The Titans get the dub, though. Titans get the dub, and we'll go into the next team who got a dub. It's the Colts. Colts haven't won in what? How many weeks has it been since the Colts won a game? Since the
last game was against Jacksonville. It was the last
Week 6, week 5, something like that.
It was like a month ago.
Yeah.
So a drought has been ended in Indy. Jeff, take it away.
Jeff Saturday was in the ESPN booth, and he sent out a tweet that the Raiders are a bad team. He had no idea he'd be the interim head coach a week later, but they backed up that sentiment. I don't think McDaniels is at all a good head coach. I'm despite everything that happened with Reich and everything, I'm still glad that McDaniels didn't come to Indianapolis. He's just not a good head coach.
Yeah.
But I'm in Indianapolis. We love Jeff Saturday. We hope he does well. And today, aside from a couple of mistakes, the Colts finally played, I think, one of their most complete games. Against one of arguably the league's best receiver. He did well, but when it mattered, Gilmore made a play against him and batted it away. And I had no idea. I thought it was going to be Ellinger going. I think early in the week, even Saturday said it would be Ellinger, and then Matt Ryan trots out under center. I was like, all right. Just more confusion, leading into the game. But Matt Ryan did really, really well. Completed 75% of his passes. Got a touchdown in there. Taylor went off finally. He got his first touchdown since week 1. And he averaged almost 7 yards a carry. And did y'all see the wheels that Matt Ryan had?
Matt flying.
Matt Ryan, Matt flying, baby.
Oh yeah, he was moving, bro.
He was trucking, man.
He probably topped out at like 12 miles per hour. He was moving.
He's running like Bill Clinton, but man, he got 30 yards out of it.
I'm gonna get you.
And he got a touchdown too, and some goal line work. So that was nice. Seeing Campbell get another touchdown in there, it's good to see him going. Defensively, they Colts played pretty well, despite Devontae Adams going off. Grover Stewart's having a big game or big year. Zaire Franklin's having a great year. Even Gilmore, he didn't light it up in the stat column, but he made the play when it mattered there at the end of the game. Gakwe's having a great game. They didn't get a lot of pressure on Carr, but that's just more of Kwity Paye. He didn't go today, and of course Darius Leonard. Rumors are going around that he might be shelved the rest of the year now. So we're kind of hurting in pressure. They lost the turnover battle again. Kiki QT had a big fumble, I think, in the red zone on a 20-yard catch.
Yep.
But aside from that fumble and McLaughlin clunking a 48-yarder off the upright, the Colts played a pretty clean game. So I was really happy with how they did, how Saturday went. Very balanced play calling with their new offensive coordinator. And he wasn't dialing up a lot of predictability. He was very well balanced. And Jonathan Taylor, they had the longest play from scrimmage. He ran off for a 66-yarder, and everything just went the way that it needed to, and they made the plays they needed to when they needed to. It's against a bad Raiders team, so I'm not gonna oh yeah, we're going to the Super Bowl now, but I was happy to see them take down a team on the road, just in general.
Yeah.
In the AFC South, you take what you can get.
That's facts. Shit. God, I would have loved to have beaten the Giants today. God. It's been so long since we've had a dub. You know how long I have to wait until we can win again? When do we play Jacksonville? No, we're probably not going to win again. But
don't doubt it too early. It definitely happened.
I doubt we win. At this point, it's clear cut that we are the worst team in the league, and we don't play like cupcakes. I mean, we're about to play Washington. They're going to be, unless they upset the Eagles on Monday night, they're going to be just way better than us. Probably 500.
I wouldn't say the Texans are the worst team in the league, only because the Raiders were expected to be one of the best teams in the league, and they are in contention with you guys for the first overall pick. So I personally would say the Raiders, just because you guys weren't expected to be this big juggernaut of a team, but they were. So, and now they're talking about rumors about Carr getting shipped off at the end of the season and not re-signed, and yeah, I mean, it's funny.
I mean, fair point. Maybe I would say they're the biggest disappointment, whereas the Texans might be the outright worst team, though.
Have y'all played them yet, though?
Yeah, they beat us.
Oh, okay. Oh, well, yeah, I guess I'm technically, yes, you are the worst team in the league then, but but you beat Jacksonville, who beat the Raiders, who beat whatever, you get it.
Yeah.
Don't try to make any sense out of this.
It's AFC South. Nothing makes sense here,
Yeah, they lose to the Titans by 2 points. I think we were beating the Raiders at one point in our game and ended up coughing that one up. But
yeah, that was your mistake, was winning against the Raiders until the last minute. You should have.
Oh no, it was until the fourth quarter, and then they scored 21 points. We were where'd that come from? But with that, let's get into the MVPs in our final minutes here. So this is obviously, I collected these before the show. Isaiah, you're saying that Christian Kirk should be for the Jags nomination?
Yes, sir.
Jonathan Taylor for the Colts, Jeff?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Damian Pierce for the Texans, and NWI, Nick Westbrook Akine for the Titans are our candidates here. So I feel like the best options are usually to go with the people who won. Since we got two winners this week, Isaiah, I'm gonna flip a coin right now. Hold up. All right. Heads, it's Jonathan Taylor. Tails, it's
Westbrook Kina.
yeah, Westbrook. They're doing another.
Struggling over there. You gotta catch it on the way down, all right?
It is Tails. NWI Week 10 MVP of the AFC South. 2 touchdown catches, 5 receptions, 119 yards.
The impressive part is that per catch. That's crazy.
Oh, yeah. I mean, most of that came on a huge flea flicker because Tim Kelly just loves the flea flicker.
Oh, yeah.
That's like the only, like any Texans fans in the comments, tell me if I'm right. What's Tim Kelly's favorite play call? Flea flicker. All right. Hit the like and subscribe button, folks. Thanks for watching. Jeff, Isaiah, thank you for coming on. This has been episode 73 of this AFC South show. Please be good people. Check the merch link below.
All right.